minutes.
You're a bit sheepish now, aren't you?
It wasn't that game, it was the Tottenham game.
Well, actually, Jamie, you made the point before the game in saying that he was, for you, the key man. If he turned up, that you didn't feel that City's midfield could live with him.
Listen, that's not anything special to say. I think we've seen that, you know, in the last few weeks, whoever City have came up against. But I almost feel it sometimes that I'm almost one of Declan Rice's biggest supporters, because I do find myself scratching my head when I see people criticise him and you sort of asking for more goals and assists. Now, I know the game in the last sort of 10, 15 years, especially on the show that we do, tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, we look at numbers and analyse things. And I think when you played alongside Patrick Vieira and Emmanuel Petit were behind you in midfield, they were two of the greatest midfield players in the world at that time and two of the greatest midfield players we've ever seen in the Premier League. I don't remember anyone talking about how many goals or assists they got. Now, they chip in, they didn't get a lot, probably 5 or 6 a season. For me, Declan Rice is one of those type of all-round midfield players, a little bit like Roy Keane, a little bit. And he said he's playing in the number 8 position, so he's playing a little bit higher. But for me, he's almost like a throwback to a midfield player who used to play in a 4-4-2 system. He could do a bit of everything. Now, for me, I think he's a wonderful player. I think his passing range is vastly underrated. You see that with the pass he put out there, but I see him in terms of build-up and getting on the ball, his power, everything about him, his pressing early on. He's just, for me, he's an absolute, a wonderful midfield player.
An outstanding performance, player of the match, a couple of assists and a pre-assist as well. That you
Roberto Martinez.
And you could obviously sense that Declan's really keen to build on his numbers. The numbers very much went against Manchester City today, a 5-1 defeat. How would you sum up the City team that we saw in the last 30 minutes or so of that game?
It's exactly the same team that I saw against Feyenoord, same team that I saw against Brentford at the end, the same team that I saw, you know, I mean, I can name...
What is that?
What is that is when they pass an hour, I will go back to what you said, the intensity of the game, you need to be able to run. And I've played on the Pep. To be able to stay there for 90 minutes, putting pressure, deal with the transition, it's not easy. And can we, in bracket, give them a pass? That's the first year that they cannot do it. You know, I think that's the first year also we can challenge Pep in terms of the player that he brought, comparing to the players that he had. He had Alvarez, he had Mahrez, he had Cole Palmer. He decided to go to other guys that it didn't work. Do I feel sorry? You were asking the question to you, Micah, before. Do I feel sorry about what's happening to Man City and Pep? Yeah, I do. In one thing, it's not easy to deal with what Pep has to deal with outside of football. I went through that when I went to Barcelona. It's not easy to deal with stuff like that when you're not well mentally. You can see that he's not his usual self. Having said that, if we go back on the field at new football...
So you're talking about his personal life?
Yeah, personal life. I had to deal with it when I went to Barcelona. I can tell you it's not easy. No one will like to deal with that while you have to perform all the time. So I think we can understand. Now, if you go back on the field, it's not good enough. It is not good enough. I don't think that they can cope whenever a team can deal with playing them all the way to 90 minutes and challenge them and looking them in their eyes all the way. They cannot deal with it.
Micah, I came here today trying to build a case for Manchester City. I said they were the top scorers in Europe, just behind Barcelona and Real Madrid in 2025. Their Premier League form was improving again. They made some signings. But actually, have we seen today this is the end of an era for this?
No, I wouldn't say end of an era, maybe coming to an end. I just think we have to be realistic about it. I think Jamie made a good point about it months ago now, saying they might struggle for top 4, sort of laughed it off a little bit. And he was talking about the energy and the intensity. It's not there. But the thing that I'm looking at more with Man City is on the ball. Normally they starve the opposition of the ball. They did OK in the first half. In the second half, they was giving away easy passes, individual mistakes. Foden, he's so good on the ball, but just taking that risk. Akanji, whether he's playing out, whether it was Haaland. We didn't see Haaland again today, apart from his goal. I want him to be more aggressive. I want him to make more runs. I want him to be, you know, giving his team an option as well. So there's so many different things that are going on with Man City at this moment in time. And it is sad to see because, yeah, I don't expect him to win the league every year, but the fall-off has been so dramatic. It's sort of sad to see what's going on, but they'll bounce back.
But they still could have a say in this title race. Still got to play Liverpool. Let's then look through the 6 goals and the key incidents of this game here at the Emirates this afternoon, starting with Arsenal flying out to the traps. Did this almost set the tone? Do we see Arsenal's game plan right here?
Yeah,
Micah?
we know Arsenal like to press and leave numbers up, but again, John Stones, Candy's really got nowhere to go. It's a bad mistake, and then they get punished from it. And I'm just thinking, use your brains a little bit. You know what Arsenal want to press and sort of make a trap for you, and then he's got no option. Takes a bad touch.
What about that from Declan Rice? That little bounce
That's what you love, don't you, Jane? The one time.
the pre-assist.
I thought the pass was fantastic. It's not a 60-yard pass, but how quickly he has to react and open his foot up as it comes to me. He just opens the face of his foot up, puts it perfectly weighted to Kai Havertz, and then he has a decision to make. Is he going to take the shot? Is he going to make the pass? Whatever we think, he made the right decision because Odegaard puts it in the back of the net.
For just his second of the season, and of course that put a bit of a spring in his step as well, Martin Odegaard, who would have wanted a few more goals for his return this season so far. Into the second half, the equaliser, Thierry, after we'd criticised Haaland for his lack of involvement really at half-time.
But it's not a criticism. That's what he does. He doesn't move a lot.
What about the quality of this finish?
The cross also. Because if that cross doesn't come that way, he won't have the time to go in front of Saliba now to be able to attack it. And so he did ever so well to guide that to where the ball was coming from, and you have to give him his credit. But for me, whether he scores or he doesn't score, more often than not away from him, that's the game he gives you.
It's the strangest, though, of it. He scores a
That's a
brilliant
great
header
goal.
like that.
You have to give him that. That's a great
55
goal.
minutes on the clock, and he touches the ball just once more in the rest of the game. He made more fouls than touches from 55 minutes to the final whistle,
Yeah,
which
I'm surprised.
seems extraordinary.
Why are you surprised? It's like, that's what he does. That's how he plays.
That is how he plays. And listen, we've done that a lot, that analysis in terms of how many touches and minutes. But the fact he scores that goal, and I think he touches the ball one more time between then and the end of the game. So in the first half, he went 37 minutes without touching the ball. So in the second half, he's done exactly the same. I think if you're a young kid playing football and you went that long without touching a ball, I don't think you'd play again. It'd put you off. What I'm saying is if you were a young kid playing football and you didn't touch the ball for over half an hour, you're thinking, this is not the game for me. It's like people who stop playing cricket because they get put at third man all day. You know, it's like, what am I doing here? It's like, I'm not even touching the ball. I'm not even involved.
Whose responsibility is it? Is it the striker's responsibility to get more involved, or is it the team to get him involved?
First and foremost, you have to give him his credit because it is a skill. I wouldn't have been able to cope with it. If I didn't touch the ball, it would have been... something would have happened. I don't care, something would have happened. I would have gone and get it and do something, touch it, at least bounce it back or do something. What I'm trying to say is that...
These are all of his touches, Thierry, in the game.
I always say it's a skill. David Trezeguet had it. You know, they concentrate. Even if they don't touch the ball, they can still put the ball in the back of the net. But I always say, what can you do when your team cannot help you? Can you hold the ball? Can you run into the channel? Can you be available when we are on the ball? I can understand sometimes that the number 9 or a winger or a 10 or a guy that's good on the ball is not making any effort to defend. I'm saying I can understand in bracket, understand me well. But you're also not moving so much when your team is on the ball and not taking care of the ball and securing the ball. It's not enough, but he will score. He will score even when he plays like that. And he did.
Those were all his touches in the game.
These aren't completed passes as well. I think he lost half of them. You know, we must say that. Do you think what we're looking at there, that stops him ever being the best player in the world, if you like? So when I think of you, you're a great goal scorer, but you'd say you're a great player. You can be up there with the best players in the world. Maybe Mbappe as well. He's a goal scorer, but he does a lot more. Would you ever describe someone who was just a goal scorer as one of the best players in the world? Can you ever win the Ballon d'Or?
Look, you had guys in history that were known as goal scorers.
But were they ever the best player in the world?
Yep, okay, but you still need to be able to hold the ball. You know, was Alan Shearer a guy that was going to go down the line and step over people, but he could hold the ball and pass it back? David Trezeguet flick it back, go to the box and do what he has to do. Look, if people can challenge Mbappe for not holding the ball well at Real Madrid, they can surely challenge Haaland.
Do you think he will change?
No.
Yeah, but he doesn't. He's not in the team. He's not in the team for that. He's brought in a team to run him behind. What they're saying is totally right. But the thing is, from my point of view, he's got to be aggressive. You see them, Saliba bullying him. You've seen the size of him. I've seen him, I think it was Dunk a couple of seasons ago, barge him off the ball, really use his strength. But he's not even doing that. That is my concern. I don't expect Haaland to be delicate and do one-touch and two-touch passing because that's not his game. He brought in Mamouche, sort of played off each other today. He will be more delicate, but I expect him to use his frame more. That, as a defender, he's making it too easy for me at this moment in time. If you go really tight, he loses the ball. If you give him time, he needs to figure out how best to use him in this team.
Can I ask you one question? We've seen some great teams with Pep Guardiola with different strikers. Do you think this Man City team are better than the Manchester City teams before that had Haaland or without Haaland? Is this a better Manchester City team with him in it?
It's debatable. They won a treble with him. So they didn't win a treble without him before. So people will go, yes, not. I think the whole team as a whole is dropping, not only Haaland. And we all know that Haaland will suffer if his team is not dominating the game. It will be less effective than the guy that can run in behind or can run into the channel. But if his team is dominating, we all know he's going to score a goal at will. But to go back to a point, whether if you are a goal scorer or not a goal scorer, or you hold the ball well or you don't hold the ball well, when you are 1v1 with a centre-back in the middle of the park and one centre-back left the field, mispass the ball with the left-back and him being out of position, you don't spin? You really don't spin. Now, you don't spin. Now, you don't go. No, now you don't go. It can be anything in the world. I can understand anything. You don't go there. That's your strong point. Holding the ball is not your point. Running in behind, sometimes you don't do it. You don't run there?
But
it's a yes, and yes move.
Thierry. You say he's not going to change. He's just signed a 9-year contract. Is this going to hold Manchester City
I'm
back?
Not his coach. That's going to be him and them to understand. What I'm trying to say here is, even your strong point, you're fast. You're not utilizing that. You're not running in behind. We've seen a guy here, and he bothered me because he outplayed everybody at the back. Isaac. The whole game, he gave Gabriel the in behind. What happened to that? I don't understand why Nine don't do that anymore. Drop and spin. And you didn't have to drop there. It was all open, and you're fast. Those are the points that sometimes I do not understand. We can challenge him on what he cannot do, but you're supposed to do that well. He didn't.
Do you think his head was busy today, Jamie, with what happened at the end of the game back in September? He made that comment to Mikel Arteta, stay humble. There was his scrap with Gabriel, which seemed to continue from the first whistle here this afternoon. Was that a distraction?
I'm not so sure. Listen, it happened in the first game. He seemed right up for it. I mean, to be fair to Haaland, when you're up there, it's not just this is him and Gabriel, but him and Saliba had a little bit as well, and he come out on top. At one stage in the second half, he got his goal, and if that game finishes 1-1, we're probably saying, "Oh, Haaland's almost won that battle. He's got his goal," type of thing. But I'm not sure he was distracted because, as Thierry said, I mean, this is normal for Haaland. We speak about this probably 2 or 3 times a season. That he's involved with how many touches is he involved in the game enough? But I've always felt. And this is what he had to say at the end of the game. So I think this is going to continue. Look.
Showing that.
There's the badge. There's the title.
Well, I've got no problem with that because Gabriel had a little popper early on in the game, which I thought was a silly thing to do considering there was so long in the game to go, and he did end up scoring. But he hasn't got a leg to stand on with the clip that Thierry's just shown in terms of making a run to the channel. But I have always felt the way Man City play, we're not seeing the full repertoire of Haaland. Because when you think of how he played against Chelsea last week, when Ederson's getting the ball into him and he's bullying defenders, he has got that in his locker, and I don't think City used that enough. That's not a criticism because it's not really Pep's way, and they've had great success the way they play. But I do feel as we're just seeing a goal scorer. I feel what I saw at Borussia Dortmund is a lot more than actually what we see week in, week out in the Premier League. Maybe because of the way opposition teams play against Man City and the way Pep plays.
Arsenal are screaming at us, the fans at home. We just won 5-1. Why are you talking about Haaland? Let's have a look at the second goal. This is 38 seconds after the restart, Micah. What's happened here?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Foden giving the ball away, individual mistake, and then can John Stones engage? It takes a wicked deflection and they score a goal. But these are all the things I'm talking about. Normally it's so neat and tidy, 1 touch, 2 touch, round the corner. Wasn't meant to be, and Partey capitalised on that.
Not really like Foden, was it, this?
But football is weird because if that ball goes through, you have a 3v3 and Arsenal would have been in trouble. But it didn't go through, and next thing you know, you're 2-1 down.
Big deflection and Arsenal's tails up, the crowd up again, having City just got back into it. And then Talk to me about Miles Lewis-Skelly and what Arsenal have on their hands here.
I just love him, really. First and foremost because he's one of our own, as they were singing the whole time in the second half. But the way he took the ball, swiveled with his right foot, always controlled the ball with the furthest leg. Then he makes everyone believe that he might take a shot with his right and then goes with his left. Sorry, he goes on his right foot. And then I like the goal. And I enjoyed even more the celebration.
Why? We'll come to that in a second.
Why not? He can celebrate, right? Some people copy celebrations.
He's copying the Haaland celebration, isn't he?
You need to ask him what he tried to do. He looks zen and calm there.
You talk about football arrogance, and I always class that as a good thing. You know, someone who's got that strut on the football pitch, give me the ball in tight situations. He's got a football arrogance. Is he 17 or 18?
18.
He's 18. That the only person who comes to mind is Wayne Rooney. You know what it's like? They feel like I'm the man on this football. But Jude Bellingham's got it. You know, you see him at Real Madrid going, you know, I've been here 2 minutes, but I'm owning this place. And it looks like he's almost one of the leaders in the team. Now, we did an analysis on the last time we did Monday Night Football on Arsenal. I was critical of Odegaard, saying he's not getting the ball in dangerous positions. But I felt like the player who could do that, the last clip we used was him going into sort of a midfield position and playing a lovely pass. This time he's getting the ball in that position. Normally you'd expect an Odegaard to be really between the lines, and he's in a goal-scoring position. And he finishes, gets his goal. And I always think when you see a young player burst onto the scene, they always have that sort of impact, a big goal, a game we remember. A lot of the great players do. You think of Michael Owen as a young player, or Wayne Rooney, or Jude Bellingham. They always have those moments early on in their career, and they're destined for stardom. This kid looks an absolute superstar, and he's got that presence and personality on a football pitch at 18 that you very rarely see.
He's very fortunate he has that confidence already. It felt at times like Kai Havertz was searching for a little bit of confidence.
It was
today.
searching.
How much will that goal have helped him, do you think?
Yeah, definitely, for the confidence. I mean, we'll talk it from Arsenal point of view. On that transition, we talked about Man City and the energy not being able to deal with it, but it's a really confident finish here because he could have looked to pass, takes a lovely touch and just bends it into the far corner. But this is what I will talk about transition with Man City. De Bruyne doesn't need to go. Kovacic needs to go. And they can't get back. I don't understand why they're not seeing the game out. You know Arsenal are good on that transition, and he's still trying to press. The days of them getting the ball back in 3-4 seconds, they've gone because they can't get back anymore. And then John Stones doesn't get tight enough, and it's a wonderful finish from Arsenal point of view.
A lot of credit because he thinks the run that he made, a lot of people would have made a run inside. He made sure that it was going to go around. He made a football roll, like
That's a big goal for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And then he made sure that he was going to be on his left foot instead of going straight forward. He made it difficult for whoever that was defending. I think it was Stones. He made it a 2v1 with his run to isolate John Stones, and he didn't know what to do. So when the ball came to him, he went back on his left foot and finished it. I think it was Stones. But you're right. I just think that at times we talked about it. The way City sometimes recover is crazy.
But absolutely the icing on the cake here for Arsenal. Not just one teenager scoring, but then another one coming off the bench. 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri and adding this goal. And this is not normal, Thierry, for two teenagers to be scoring in a game of this significance.
Well, if you're going to let him have the ball like that, go back inside and score. But having said that, you know, as an Arsenal man, it's nice to see two young kids doing what they did. And we all talked about it. Starting the game, I think, would have been a bit too much for him. But it was obvious that it was going to come and have an impact in the game, and it did. Well, if you know what I mean.
There's been a lot of talk about Arsenal making new signings. But in a sense, have these two youngsters actually brought some freshness to the dressing room?
Yeah, I think youngsters are because they're fearless. Jerry mentioned it before, I think. But they've got quality as well. They're not in there just because they've got injuries. They're in there because they deserve to be in the team. Nwaneri, I've seen him playing a lot. He looks really confident. Obviously, with the loss of Saka, was always going to be massive. But he's come in there and done really well. But Skelly, Jerry mentioned it before, for a fullback to be doing that, because the way fullbacks, especially in our days, okay, can you defend 1v1? What's your positioning like? Can you go down the line and get a crossing? But he's going into pockets of space on the half turn, playing through balls and scoring goals. It's just...
That's a different kind of bursting, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't quite have that.
Now, there was one thing that I wanted to mention, and as an Arsenal man, and the Arsenal fans ask me, you know, we need a 9. Nobody's going to ask for a 9 after this game.
Should they?
Yeah, they should. They should. It's not because you won 5-1 that you don't need a 9.
So why not?
We've been, I think, as an Arsenal fan, asking for a 9 for 2 years, 4 transfer windows. We still didn't see the 9. But you can't be calling for a 9 when you don't put the ball in the back of the net, and when you do, you forget it.
Yeah.
You call for a 9 all the time.
So transfer deadline tomorrow. Do you think Arsenal have to sign a number 9 if they're going to win the league this season? If they don't,
No, for me,
think they can catch
I don't
Liverpool?
often believe in January transfer window. That's only me. But I keep on saying all the time, because sometimes you don't get the player that you want. Wait for it, but then go and get it in the summer. But we haven't done that yet.
Who's the player you want?
Ask Micah.
No, Thierry, I get that. But what I'm saying is the situation where you find the league table right now, Liverpool have got a game in hand next week. Do you think if Arsenal don't address that on, do you think there's any chance they can catch Liverpool between now and the end of the
Even
season?
if they sign someone, it'll be tough to get Liverpool. The point that I was trying to make is that people forget about asking for a 9 when you win 5-1 because you put the ball in the back of the net. Situation is still the same.
And we've still got time, Jamie. We'll come to that whole title race discussion. 28 hours as well left for Arsenal to find a number 9. Tough questions for Pep Guardiola to answer. He's just not been used to it, has he? Because his team have dominated English football pretty much since he got here. But right now, the title seems a long way off. They can get a maximum of 83 points. Leicester City were the last team to win the league. With a total as low as that. Leicester actually got 81 in that season in 15-16. But actually, Micah, is there a scrap on here for City to be playing in the Champions League next season?
Yeah, there is a scrap. From the evidence that we're seeing this season, I think their focus this season just now. Top 4, take one game at a time, and I know they've got some difficult fixtures coming up as well. I think leading up to this game, they'll actually be doing all right in the league. It's more the Champions League where they've been struggling. So I always fancy City to score a goal. I just worry about them defensively. I really do. And I know we talked about defensively. Teres Nunes playing right back. I don't like it. He's a midfielder. He's not getting tight to anyone. He's not stopping crosses. And I feel for him because he's playing that position. But just losing Rodri, I've never seen a team buckle so much losing one player. And I know he was immense, Ballon d'Or winner, but the team have to do more. They have to recognise. And there's no harm in losing. You can lose 2-1, 3-1, whatever it may be to a good team. But when it's 5s and it's 4s and it's 3s consistently against higher quality teams, that's when you need to start worrying.
Man City have conceded more goals than Man United this season. I mean, that's
a damning stat with how bad Man United are.
Talk about those tough games that are coming up, not least a tricky one in the FA Cup as well. Away to Leyton Orient is next up, and then these Champions League ties that you're talking about against Real Madrid. He did actually they have named Rodri in their Champions League squad, perhaps with an eye of going deeper in the competition maybe, but that's a challenge when you've got Real Madrid. I suppose, Thierry, Arsenal fans are going to be wondering if City can take points off Liverpool on February the 23rd.
Can they? Yeah, they can. I can see that happening. But for me, it's overall what they can do for themselves. Like if you talk about Arsenal, I think they can take some points. You never know what type of City we're going to have against Liverpool on that day. But to go back to that point, I mean, it's annoying for people to go with it's the end of an era. It's not the end of an era. Like they won 4 in a row. You can lose one. It's the manner of how they lose one. It's never easy to see a team at the end stopping winning, because when you stop winning, it doesn't always look right the way
So you don't think it's the end of an era?
No, I don't think it's the end of an
So-
era.
so do you
It's
think
them
this-
losing the title
do you think
in
this
a poor
group-
way.
Do you think this group is capable of rebuilding themselves, regrouping and doing it next season?
People are talking about Rodri. I don't think that Rodri is the only thing that's the problem at Man City. I mentioned it earlier. This man that we saw before, Pep Guardiola, made us forget the legends, not only of City, but also of the Premier League, that were not there. You never watch City before and say to yourself, they're missing Yaya Touré, they're missing Aguero, they're missing David Silva, they're missing Messi Company. Never, ever. You said, oh, they got unlucky today. This time, lesser players of the one that I mentioned, you said they miss Alvarez, they miss Mahrez. And we all know he won Premier League, the Premier League Player of the Year. But I'm saying that it's more of a situation where, for the first time, and I mentioned it before, I think he got some of the players in that didn't have the talent of the players that left. And it is the first time that it did happen at the same time that Rodri also is not delivering. you know. So, sorry, he's not. He's injured. My bad. But it's not the end of an era. Like it's a bit too quick to have us. I didn't say it, but people saying that it's the end of an era just because.
The collapse, isn't it?
No, that they imploded. Yeah, that they have to recover from it. Yeah, that they have to get maybe better players that they got in. Yes, that Rodri is going to come back. Yes, but it's not the end of an era. I don't, not yet for me in terms of what Pep is trying to do.
But Mikel, are you going to sign a striker?
Titi, tell us! Come on, you've got the inside.
All I know is it's nice to see him smile. You know, he's trying to not have that smile, but obviously when he's been asked about Lewis-Skelly, he couldn't hold it. Yeah. It's nice to see that, and the trust that they have in him, as he mentioned, because you have to give him also a lot of credit to start him in a game like that.
Ahead of Carragher.
But trusting him also to roll inside and be on the ball, because it's not an easy one. You lose it, it's a quick transition.
We were just having a little chat off air, Jamie. Just how big was this for Arsenal today? Put that in context for us.
I think that was a... When you think of the Arteta reign, everything's been going forward. You know, each season getting closer to Manchester City. And if Arsenal don't win the league this season, it'll feel probably like the first time in his era where it'll almost feel like you've taken a step back in some ways. Not because they don't win the league, but because it's Liverpool and not City. And I think if Arsenal draw that game today, I think we're all saying the league's done. You know, if Liverpool's got the game in hand, and that's what I think Arsenal are playing on week in, week out. They need to bring this gap back, not let it to go sort of 2 points further on. Now, there's a lot riding on this game in hand. We've been talking about it from a Liverpool point of view for a long time. It's going to be out the way next week, and we'll see if Liverpool extend the lead or they are where they are. But I just think today, with the situation with Liverpool winning a game that they thought they might draw, to win that in the manner that they want, and also to beat Pep. Let's not forget this. I know the mates and all, but this ego thing between top managers. They want to beat each other. They want to beat each other. For him to beat... Listen, Arsenal have beaten... I think you said Mikel Arteta's gone 3 or 4 games unbeaten against Man City.
Yeah, 3.
But they've won 1 in 18 in the Premier League against Man City. That was massive for the football club to have this psychological, barrier. We can beat them and beat them well. And it's a big thing for Mikel Arteta to beat Pep Guardiola, the best manager in the world. So it's been an unbelievable day for Arsenal, and hopefully it doesn't get any better tomorrow.
Apparently, Mikel said that the benchmark was obviously Man City when he's been asked that first question. In terms of consistency of winning leagues and leagues and leagues, yes. But this year the benchmark is Liverpool by a distance.
So you still think Liverpool are going to win the league, is what you're saying?
Listen, I think if Liverpool beat Everton next week, I don't see
think it's
how...
done?
Well, I don't see how Arsenal come back with 9 points.
Come on,
I'm not certain, don't worry about that.
Don't say it's done.
No, I don't think Arsenal will be able to catch them.
So it's done.
But I think if Liverpool didn't win that game and it was 6 or 7 points, that's still enough if you're Arsenal to keep you
well,
hungry.
if Liverpool get past Everton, we're all going to be saying, are City going to be able to take points off Liverpool and so on and so on. Can Arsenal stay in the race all the way until May when they actually got to play Liverpool as well? But this is, you guys know, you've been winners yourselves. At this stage of the season, you just can't drop points anywhere, can you? And even the game on Wednesday night, which Mikel has referred to, how do you handle that? You're 2 down against Newcastle. Do you want to be...
You'd rather be chasing.
Throwing your emotion into the Carabao Cup.
I would rather be chasing. When we won the league, we went ahead against Man United, against the great Fergie sides and all that sort of stuff. When we got ahead, we was nervous. As soon as we took that pressure away and was behind, 6 points behind, we were just playing freely. Arsenal at this moment, of course there's going to be pressure. A big statement today, but everyone's expecting Liverpool to win the league, so I think it's less pressure for Arsenal. You know, if Liverpool win, they go 9 points ahead.
I totally
disagree. I totally disagree with that.
But what, in terms of what, though?
Well, number one, I think you'd rather be in front. But in terms of the pressure situation, I understand what you're saying. You know, the team in front, everyone expects Liverpool to win. But I think we're at a stage with Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. We were talking 5 or 6 years in now, aren't we? Where they have to win big. They have to, and I do feel if they don't win the league this year, it'll almost feel like a step back. The years before that have been, they're getting closer. This was their year to do it. So I feel like Arsenal are going almost into every game they play with huge pressure.
Jerry, in 10 seconds, can they win the title? Will they win the title, Arsenal?
It's impossible in 10 seconds.
Just give me a yes or a no.
But this guy is 9 points ahead, virtually. he doesn't even say it, and you want me to say that? Come on. 10 seconds gone.
Just so, Micah.
Not bad. I tell you what. Yeah.
You shouldn't have invited me.
We're going to have to get you back. We'll have to get you back.